Welcome to Marriage Talk Season 4. Join us as we discuss the differences between men and women. We are privileged to host Pastor Tim and Pastor Judy. And for the very first time on Marriage Talks, Pastor Bonnie and Pastor Geraldine, and our very own Pastor Peter and Pauline Kamau. This is Marriage Talks, where our marriages must come to a rest.
And actually, that right now, that gives us some of the things that some symptoms that we can see. And maybe we say number one, you find scorekeeping. That one can also come during that time. But then there is another one whereby you mentioned blame game, or you are busy when I come. I've tried, because some people, especially men, will come up with a plan. Okay, I'll take you for a weekend. I'll pay for the holiday. We'll go to for this holiday, but thinking that maybe you've splashed the money.
I think that's the problem with men, because men, we are action oriented. So we think that when we do something, Let me plug in. Let me bring in Pastor Judy and Pastor Tim. I think they have been quiet for a while. And then which other symptoms probably we can be able to help our viewers right now?
I like that word you use. Let me action oriented.
Please let me hear you guys, and then which other areas do you think?
I think if you can elaborate on the point that you started off with, Pastor, you talked about conflict, you talked about neglect. If you can delve a little bit deeper, like the neglect part of it.
Maybe I'd like to touch on the psychotherapeutic view of dysfunctionality. There are a couple of things that psychologists and psychotherapists will say what entail functional family or functional marriage. And perhaps one of them is an emotionally secure environment.
That's right.
When an environment does not provide does not provide security for emotional expression, security for emotional well-being, then it is deemed as dysfunction from a psychological point of view. It is important that every marriage, every family be able to give that environment for people to feel there is no abuse. People to feel they are not guilty. They are not carrying guilt. They are not carrying condemnation. And be able to express themselves and not feel like they have to watch over what they are saying. Like you walk on eggshells all the time. You are able to express yourself. Your children are able to express when they are not happy without the fear of recrimination. Your wife is able to disagree with you without the fear of an undue rebuke. And the husband is able to share his vision without an unfair criticism. I think that environment of being able to express ourselves emotionally is very important. One, for us and for the marriage, but two, for the generations that are going to come. Because a lot of the baggages that we bring in marriage, we carry them over from how we were brought up. And so there is a lot of baggage we bring that has been the result of neglect and abuse when we were young. And we really don't know, but I think we shall touch maybe on it as we look at the ramifications, because you talked about the effects of these things to the next generation.
Right,
These baggages follow us, and it is as little as emotional imbalance. Because when the environment emotionally is not right, you will be amazed at the impact it causes the next generation. You find 40, 50-year-old men and women struggling in their marriage and in their life, and you can trace it back to the first 2 years of their upbringing.
You know what really, before I throw this to Pastor Judy, is because some of the key people in the Bible who are very spiritual and actually whom we applaud as heroes of faith, their families are very dysfunctional.
That's right, yeah.
So, and this tells me just because I'm born again, this is not something that laps it off from me. It's something I have to intentionally address and work on it. Talk from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, you get what I'm saying? Joseph, Aaron, Samuel, Eli, I mean, David, all across the, and
It's actually scary.
it's scary, because most of the time, sometimes we think just because I am born again, some of these things are taken care by my salvation.
No, you're not exempted.
You're not exempted. Pastor Julie, please, help us see some other symptoms here.
Yeah, and I think just before I say another symptom, and like you're saying, Pastor Kamau, it's very true. When you look at the Bible, there's a lot of dysfunctionality that is existing. Just from the question that Pastor Pauline was bringing about a lack of support for one partner after they supported the other. When you think about it, when we were doing the discussion, I picked up two already dysfunctions that are in that case, where we lack family members' development. When there is no development in each and every individual or each and every member of the family, that is dysfunction right there. Because if I can be supported to succeed and get to a place where I'm excelling in my abilities, in my education, in my profession, and the other person is not thriving, then you see there's dysfunction right there because he has his potential. So I have to also make sure, like you said, from the beginning, I enter into a relationship or into marriage, having the understanding that he also has to climb his ladder, where he develops as a person. So as he supports me, I must also be willing to support him to develop as a person. So in that case, where one partner is being helped to upgrade, but refuses to support the other, brings in another dysfunction symptom, which is control. So if I am better placed, then you become dependent on me, or I have more say than you have. Because you see, every upgrade comes with its power. So if I have more money, there's more power attached to me. So there could be some dysfunction that may creep in without knowing. So two dysfunction because of one small thing that can happen. A lack of development for each partner and control. Because control is another symptom of dysfunctionality, where I am only dependent on him who is producing, who is giving, who is learned, and all that.
And I think that maybe just to adjust a bit, when we talk about development, the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. That in its original content means you have to help the child discover themselves as God wanted them to go and to go in their path. But mostly we interpret it as just teach them the word of God. That may be part of it, but the original interpretation was help them to discover their purpose.
That's right.
And so sometimes you will find we want our children to become doctors, to become lawyers, because that's what we measure success with. But in this child is someone who would want to do theater, would want to explore the gifting that is in them, sports maybe. But we tell them no, that in itself can participate in dysfunction because you are not enabling that child to become whom God intended them to be.
Wow. And actually, maybe to add on that, I know Bible calls a woman as a helper, and I think we discussed that in the previous program. But having said that, the woman, your wife is your helper, doesn't mean that they don't have a vision. And if we think that maybe women are called to be homekeepers, we have to look at the era and the time that we are in. And we'll try to, as much as we can, to to reflect or to go back on the ways of old, whereby women were supposed to be homekeepers. And you may think that maybe it's one of the safest habitation whereby the women are taking care of home and their husband is working. But we have to look at the time that we're in and where we are. We know that this is 21st century. Women are going back to school. Women are also empowered. And also we are raising our daughters to be empowered, because if we have a daughter, you are raising that daughter to be also somebody who is empowered. And I believe you are the father of your wife also raised the daughter, and especially the age we are in right now, for that daughter to be successful. And I think the issue of selfishness have to be addressed. We have to, confront it, because what we are all discussing here, actually, in one big word, the punchline is selfishness. Because if it is all about you, then there's a problem. There's a dysfunction there. Because I believe it should be a win-win for everybody, to a point that I'm the one who is pushing my wife to become, and she's pushing me to become, or supporting me to become. So there's a mutual agreement here that we support each other. And I think maybe to add on that is that there's a conversation we are not supposed to shy off from. Like, how would you like, what is your dream? How would you like me to support you? Would you like to go back to school? Is there a course that you want to pursue? I think those conversations should be repeated once and again.
And being ready to be available.
Be available, yeah.
To sacrifice.
I think before we bring this and then we pose the next question, which I think will be very helpful to our hearers, to the viewers. I think there is something that you said, Pastor Boni, and I think this one of the things that I like going to the roots of the problem, because most of the time, sometimes we try to address things on the surface. And even that whole idea of myself, I want to be there on the top. Sometimes probably I'm just trying to reprove somebody who died many years ago. Because if I'm not content with whom I am and I want to be there on the top, and I'm not talking about that lack of progress, because we need to develop ourselves, we need to progress ourselves. But if I have to get something to prove myself, probably that's a root of something that really need to be addressed. And I could be just sitting down with my wife when we started our relationship. She had her own couple of years. She was just like Adam. The Bible says Adam, when he was created, Eve was not there, and Eve, when he was made, Adam was asleep. So we have two people who we have come to, at the age of marriage, but we were not there present when they were being made. You get what I'm saying? So we really need to help ourselves. If I have to prove myself to be something here, where is that coming from? But let me pose this question, because I believe also probably, and this one before we go to the next question. Do you think negligence, either of responsibility or service, could be a symptom of a dysfunctional family?
Maybe let me answer that one, because that is the fruit. Negligence is a fruit of something deeper than that. Is what we see. We are trying to put some few points on what can we term as a dysfunctional relationship. And one thing that I think we have mentioned two or three of them is that there's a lot of keeping of scores, there's blame game, but then there's something else that we realize actually that comes out of that. Another symptom. I'm still answering your question, whereby you find, we can call them fantasizers. Fantasizers is whereby they're in a relationship, and because it's dysfunctional, you find them they are subscribing so much into pornography, or maybe giving themselves to things that that take them away from the marriage. So they have a fantasy. It can be gaming, it can be sport, or even their place of work can become something that take them away from that. So what happens is that when they begin to fantasize on other things, then there's negligence in marriage. So that's what we're supposed to, because remember, we have to fund this relationship every day. There must be that communication. There must be that affirmation. Knowing the love language of your wife or your spouse. What is his love language? Is it touch? Is it time? Is it gift? So all these things, and sometimes all of them go together. So if it is neglected, if this is not addressed, then what you're asking, neglect, and will definitely be come in. I don't know whether I've answered.
Yes, but Pastor Judy, I think there was something that you were trying to say, and then you go to Pastor Judy, and then before we post the next question.
When you said negligence, it just brought alarms because there's a lot. I don't know, in the society today, there's a lot of, especially men. Let me say men who are negligent of the family. You find, I don't know what's causing it, or whether, I don't know, it's like a disease. Men who have, yes, they want to be in the marriage, they want to be there, they want to be there to have children, but they don't want to be responsible for taking care of what it takes care of the family. And the responsibility, so because the man is the leader, is on the man. I know now, well, we're in the Western world, African world, we can both earn money, but you find that there's a problem where many men are not working. Now, this is the situation. Even the girls who are looking for men to marry them, they cannot find a man who is committing to the marriage relationship. They just want, this man is looking for somewhere they can stay. They want a home where they be warm, taken care of, have the benefits of a marriage without the commitment or responsibility that is required. So we find and I'm saying this because there's a lot of girls are complaining.
Oh yes.
Because these men, they don't want to work. So they want the woman to provide for everything, even the house. Yeah. So they just can't plan themselves. They don't want to work, but they want all the benefits that come with a marriage relationship.
I can, I know of an example, and maybe Pastor knows of this example, exactly what you're saying, where the man decided, I don't want to work. My wife has a good career. My wife works day and night. She works 6 days, long days. So the rent of the house, 4-bedroom is covered. They had 2 cars. The cars are fueled. Insurance is covered. Food is on the table. Clothes on their back. Things like that. To the point that even the wife used to go and buy the husband a suit at Marks and Spencer, so that when they're coming to church, he's like the other men wearing a suit. But do you know what happened? The kids grew. When the kids grew, they got to a certain age where the boys now started also working. So the boys also started chipping in, and the boys now started resenting their dad because he was not doing anything, and then disrespect came in. Because now sometimes he would tell the boys to do something in the house, and one time the boy asked him, what have you been doing all day? I went to work, mom went to work, then I come home and you're trying to order me around. And the father wanted to show I'm the man, so he kind of became a little bit violent towards the boy. And the boy said, no, you will not. You will not do that.
It's a big problem.
It's
a silent problem. People don't talk about it.
He neglected his place of responsibility as the head of the home, as the leader of the family. And now you see the dysfunction setting. The roles were reversed. So the woman now was the major provider. She was running the home and everything. And then now soon the dysfunction sets in. There was no respect. There was no honor for him as a man. But he's demanding honor. But you cannot be honored if you're not even being able to step up
to your position.
Do you know why the cultural narrative is gaining momentum? It is because of such irresponsibilities that people within a community setup are looking at things and they are saying, this is not the way we were brought up. And so they feel the solution lies in how was I trained to become a man? so that our generation does not end up becoming irresponsible men, because the society we are living in, unfortunately, in the 21st century, does not train men to become men. Does the ladies are trained a little bit during the soda drinking and stuff. There's a bit of chat, but unfortunately, there is no one to teach men to become men. So they are entering into marriage, and this boils down to the statement of the principles of marriage. A man shall leave his mother and father. Before you get married to this man, have you established he's a man? So the question now there is, who is a man? Because being male is not being a man. So you can get married to a man because you feel your time to get married has come. Biologically, but is he a man? Because manhood goes with responsibility. It goes with initiative taking. And so there is a lot, perhaps even within our social setups, that we have to do to train our societies to understand what does it entail to be a man.
And one thing just before Pastor Bond, and I think also when we are talking, we're not just talking about men are irresponsible, because also ladies are. So we think the dysfunction. So we are not just talking, we're keeping both ways, because you find that there are some marriages which men are irresponsible. The other way around to
some others, the men are overburdened. You are the man, you should be providing. So the man is overburdened, he's so stretched, he's he's burnout all the time.
Burnout can come in so many ways, in terms of maybe the wife is the type who look at what the neighbors are doing or what the sisters are doing. I've seen men who maybe the sister of the wife, maybe they are well up more than them, or so the husband is pushed so much, even going to double jobs and stuff like this, just to make sure that is like a competition between the families,
keeping up with the Joneses,
and then find out that it is costing even the health of the husband. There must be that balance. And now going back to maybe what Tim you're saying about the need for men to be taught. Maybe what I can say is this, that girls from a very young age, I have a daughter, and even at a very young age she is right now, I can see her, she's teaching herself to cook. She's with the doll. Sometimes with the neighbor's daughter, girl, there's another girl who's her age in our neighborhood. You see them preparing themselves to how to clean the baby, stuff like this. So for them, for a girl child, they are well wired from the word go to become a wife. And even at the age of 17, 18, some of them, I'm not saying that they are very ready, but they know so much. But unfortunately, if you look at the boys, the only thing the boys know is doing the toys
and wrestling. So actually, the two main things you find is wrestling, sport, games, and then the toys, and some of them are guns and like cars. And you know what? Even when they grow up, the mindset does not change. The size of the toy is what changes, and the cost. That's why you find that men still love cars, and they'll talk about cars and sport throughout the day. So there was no development. And imagine now bringing those two people. One has been training themselves to become a wife for the last 20-something years. And then there's a guy here, since they were young, they started with toys. The toys developed from toys to motorbike to a car. So their obsession, actually, all they know most is about cars and football, sports and stuff like this. So this is disaster that is in making. And let me just wind up this. And one of the predictors of divorce, that your marriage, there will be a problem in your marriage, is especially when there's no premarital counseling when you're married. Or when you think you're too good for it.
When you think you're too good for it, or when you think that everything will be fine. Because actually, premarital counseling helps us to open the young people's eyes to know the number one, the difference, and also to marriage expectation. Because people come to a marriage, to a relationship with unrealistic expectation, and also without knowing the difference between a man and a wife and a woman. And that's why I'm saying these two people have come. The wife maybe know what a wife is supposed to be, not 100%, but the men may not have a clue of how a home is supposed to be run. So they'll be looking at how their fathers were doing without, they have never added value to what they know about marriage.
But even men, to be very honest, it's only us because there is so much knowledge outside there. So much. And I believe you have to have a certain degree of knowledge for you to function effectively in any field. And when it comes especially to leadership and they come to marriage, this is one of the most important institutions, and we cannot function by just assumption. We have to know. Yesterday before, I want to throw this question to Pastor Judy. Yesterday I went somewhere. I think it was yesterday, and I went to one of the homes I will not mention, and the child was just there 1 year. I don't even think it's probably 1 year, if more 1 year and 1 year and 1 month. And actually, I found the father actually reading a book to the child. Amazing, because most of the children at that age, we give them iPads, we give them phones. You get what I'm saying? And I saw this, I think this one is set up for something. Because like she's saying that TV is, so they switch it on at a particular time. Reading the book, you will not expect a father who is leading a child of 1 year, 1 month. He doesn't even know A or B, C. And actually, he has set them to tell them, this is a precedent that I'm setting for this child. And you get from there, you start teaching him something. Now, that child, because we start building these children at that age, is somebody who have a vision. And probably even when we look at it, we look into the area where the Bible talks about when actually they're falling a part of the life of the family of Isaac. He starts by talking about that Isaac had lost eyesight. And eyesight, when you talk about eyesight in the Bible, we talk about lack of vision. So it becomes, but do you still think negligence is a symptom of
dysfunction?
Yes, I think it is. And I will bring it back to the story of Isaac and Rebecca, because one of the key things that happened was favorism. Now, when you think about it, it kind of sidelined, from Rebecca's perspective, it sidelined Jacob. I mean, Esau, because what she was trying to do, she was trying to work for the best interest of one child. Now, what happens in a family setting, the moment a parent or one person gets into a conversation with one member or one sibling to speak something that is secretive, there kicks in dysfunctionality.
That's what I wanted to bring out, that point of deception.
Because what is happening here is that already there is one child that is being neglected. There is one that is favored, but there is one that is neglected. So you can imagine how the one that is neglected will fail. So in a family setting, every time there lacks co-parenting for the best interest of all the family members, then negligence becomes the core symptom in that family.
Could it be? Just one thing before I throw it to you. Could it be because when you read the book in Amplified, it talks about Jacob, actually, he Amplified. Many other versions they say Jacob was favored by Rebecca. This is not say like when you say he was favored. Most scripture, that's what we get out of the text. But actually, in Amplified, I was reading it this morning. Amplified version. It says that Esau favored. Isaac favored Esau, and Rebecca favored Jacob. And then I'm asking my question: could it be probably Esau's reaction of one parent favoring this one, because it happens a lot. And then you find now, if their reaction, because this one is not favored, then I will
I'll favor.
I'll favor